Hey, welcome to another ASL Recon. We are in the process of Game of the Month number 4, I believe. This is going to be a couple replays. I think we got 5 or 6 logs, a ton of logs this time. And we go over, obviously different performances of the different players involved, how the Americans won, how the Americans lost, things like that. And then we also kind of focus on certain things the Americans might consider doing as a general overall strategy based upon the outcome from all 5 games, 5, 6, 7 games we had. It seemed like the turn 1 reinforcements were equivalently bombarded regardless how they came on. The only difference being is that no one advanced onto the map at the end of the American player turn. That is the only difference really between the games that we review, and casualties were about the same on both sides, or on the American side, and sometimes they were a little worse, sometimes a little less, but on average, half squad to a squad was lost. About 20% of the force was lost from the beginning group, which could, depending on how the rest of your troops come in, really screw up that side. And you'll see the differences as we cover the scenarios. The rest of the game progresses, how well the Americans do, how well they rally, and get behind that 9-2 to punch to the hill. Do the 88s come into play? So on and so forth. You guys may have already played the game, enjoyed the game for what it was. Here's our rendition in ASL Recon. Again, games of the month for everyone to enjoy. If you want to participate in games of the month and just upload your log to the VASL, the ASL Scenario Archive, or the ASL Skills Discord server in the Game of the Month log files text room, that's fine. Either location, I'd be able to pick them up at. We simply review them, add them with all the other replays, and see how different players play the game, see how certain rules, especially scenario special rules, get interpreted or misinterpreted, and that's commonplace. So, again, there's no criticism involved here. If you don't want your name to be seen on the screen for whatever reason, just change your name in VASL while you're playing online. No one will know any difference. Or just let me know, and I'll cut the dice off the side, but, the log's still there. So, no worries here. I hope you guys enjoy the replay. Lots of decent discussion, I think. And I try to go fast to cover the time within the 2 hours that we have. So if I'm going a little fast, 0.75, whatever. But I don't think it's too bad. So anyway, enjoy. See you at the end. So what we're going to cover here is we're in the Tactical Tuesday U room, and we're going to cover I've got like 5 of these things, and I'm going to focus on, there's a couple of things I want to focus on. I will focus on using the right side, seeing what happens on the right side attack. Well, the right side if you're facing, the exit, essentially on the turn 1 Americans. And this is the Zon with the Wind replay. So whether you use the old Zon, I think the exit victory points were different. The new one is, I used the new one, so I'm going to base it off of the new one. Some of these games may have been played with the older version. I don't know. Well, I probably do know. I think most of the guys put it in their filed name, their scenario they use. But I want you guys to kind of, I mean, you can look at anything you want, but I'm going to focus on guys that actually bring their guys on the right-hand side. I saw a semi-pattern starting to develop through the games, and this is something you might consider in other games that you have, where you have multiple different avenues or multiple entry points for your units that might be coming on and conducting an attack. So we've got the turn 1 guys, whoever's synced with us. We know where they come on. I'm going to just go ahead and start this log up. We know where they come on. Let's see. This is a
Stu,
Yep.
could I ask one quick question?
Yeah, absolutely, John. No problem.
One favor, please.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm away from my usual rig tonight. Could somebody please live stream the?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm I'm only on iPad tonight, so.
Oh, nice, nice. So this is Dmitry and Fedor's game from the Russian ASL group. I think he played this game face to face twice, swap sides with his opponent, and I think we're gonna cover. Well, we're gonna go with this one here first, and then I think we're gonna remember which game it was that we'll go to next. But anyway, he's got a standard. Excellent, thanks, Mark. He's got a standard entry here. Looks like he's entering woods, decent terrain. Wants to get down to the at least he's cranked to the right hand side, and you see, these guys are just being broken all the time. And like I pointed out before, that's a really nice move there. Hopefully he can get in the valley. So what are we looking at here? He broke too. So all of Fedor's guys ate shit on this right hand side. So turn one, what do we got? Looking at the German OB, we got 88s. You don't know where they are because they're not on the map yet. You've got guys on first level, right? This is standard. This is standard setup. A couple guys at first level, a couple guys at first level, first, second, third level, whatever you want to do. That's like super max range for an LMG, but a 1-2, we know what happens with that. So these guys, these Germans have nothing, these Germans have nothing else to do. You're only 4 squads and a leader over here. So the thing that I saw is the more vulnerable, it seems like the more risky the approach that these guys have, the more likely they're going to get their asses handed to them. And the problem is the German setup area is pretty close in proximity. I mean, a couple of us know this already. And the Germans can actually counterattack before the Americans can do a damn thing about it. And completely wipe out this force. And so if not, they're taking, I mean, you got 3 guys that are, broken already. One guy must have died. I only see, he must have, no, he split one guy up. The half squad must have died. So it seems like every single game, the guys coming on over here, the Americans, like lose a half squad or a full squad. In almost every single of the games I've seen. Or they're getting like 2 or 3 guys broken. Which, kind of puts them behind the 8 ball. Again, the 88s have nothing else to shoot at. And a lot of times the Americans will bring their second group on. I mean, they could bring them on in the woods here, kind of protected, start throwing smoke, and the 88s really won't have a target. So exposing at least one 88 is not too big a deal. We all know one's probably going to be exactly where it is in P7 or within that general vicinity. Covering like that level 0, in this case the level 0 ground, as the 424 is mostly a valley. So they get popped. He moves this guy up. Unfortunately actually this is a good one here. Where's this guy routing? Back this up. Don't screw up. Oh fuck, it screwed up. Seriously? Fucking Vassal. This is bullshit. Anyway, these guys are right here. Where's he going to route to? These guys are broken. What's the route destination for these units? Oh, sorry, my giant fat head's in the way on the screen. Where are those guys going to route from F2? Any guesses? Because he's adjacent, right? 237.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Where's he going to go?
No, he was in F2, so he's got to probably end up going to what? That's H0?
Can he route to H0? How far is he? Oh, someone's doing LOS check.
Oh, right. Okay, right. Yeah, because he's getting closer to those. Yeah, he'd be getting closer to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All known units. Yeah.
So he can't go to H0 because he's getting closer to the guys up in the building over here.
Right.
Okay.
And if these guys were on ground level, he'd be getting closer to the guy way over here on the left hand side.
Oh, right. Yeah, the guy. No. Yep. Okay.
So, and that's for me, that's far easier to see simply because it's almost just like a straight line. And so,
Right.
for all intents and purposes, he's moving 2 hex rows over. So he still can route down to F1 if he wants to, or F0 for that matter, or over
Okay.
this direction.
Right.
But
But he,
for all intents and
but
purposes, the whole the idea is those guys are screwed, and this is sort of like the counterattack that can happen and did occur in many of the scenarios that the guys over here got wiped out. A counterattack did occur, and it's bad news for the Americans, and so the Americans in this particular scenario here pull them on the center. Zoom in just a little bit. He brings his big reinforcements on the center to try to help out. I mean, there's like nobody left over here. He does rally a guy, so I'm not sure why he's in the crag, but anyway, that's just where he ended up. No worries. So he rushes forward. Again, there's not much on the right-hand side, so the Germans have nobody else to fire at. So these guys are going to get pounded just like the guys on the right-hand side got pounded. But the Germans don't need to fire at those guys anymore. The 237's got them handled. And you've just got and then 88 opens up and all hell breaks loose. I'm not sure if they drew a line of sight to here. Remember, for the starter kit players, look at your buildings. This is a 1.5 level obstacle. So if you're on, considering this is like, if you consider this is ground level, this is level 1. That's a 1.5. So that's sort of like there's like a big wall in that hex, and that whole building is a wall. That little building right there in M4, right by the M, that is a 1.5 level obstacle. If this building over here on the left-hand side, V3U4, has that little outhouse on it, that would be a 2.5 level obstacle. Is it stupid? Yeah, probably. But that dems the rules. Same thing with this one here. They are the same obstacle. It's the same building. You know, I mean, they could easily put another rule in there. Hey, you know, such and such an outhouse. But hell, that could be a tower for some, whatever. But that's kind of the idea behind that. So the Americans pile on here, trying to reinforce the side that was destroyed. You know, that's pretty common. That's just, you know, he could go one side or the other. Gets kind of pounded, like I say, and then, I mean, that's it. That's GG. This is turn 2. He literally has 1, 2, 3, 4 squads left out of his starting units. So, it's not necessarily the second turn guys' problem. It's the first turn guys' problem. They get annihilated. It really frees up the Germans, even though the Germans only have like, what, 4.5, 5 squads in this scenario. I mean, you would think that this is just going to be a walk through the park. But I think this situation over here is very key and critical. If you want to come on here and you don't get your smoke, you're going to pay the piper. You could simply just advance on in the advanced phase. I mean, that is an option you have if you want to be conservative. If you think these guys are real, if all these guys are level 1, that's something that you can consider. You know, at least 188 is going to be looking at you. You know, he might get lucky and miss. Or if you know, or if you can make your way over to F3, and like if you had somebody decent over here to stop that 237 from showing up, that's not a bad spot, because you could always, you know, low crawl or route back to E2 over here and probably be safe for most fire in the game. And that's not a bad spot. But this guy in F2 is going to be taking a pounding, probably from an 88 or something like that. It's pretty easy to hit. And the 237 might be doing an end around, depending on if he has one over there. So anyway, I mean, this was this is beginning of turn 3. Maybe it's beginning to, yeah. Movement phase, turn 3. He's got 4 or 5 units. He's just not going to be able to get through that. You know, he's got to essentially get pretty much everybody off. It's possible. I mean, he's got a couple bazookas. You only get 2 bazookas. Yeah, you only get 3 bazookas. I'm not sure. Yeah, the other bazookas over here. I would say if he had 3 bazookas, I'd continue playing, because the bazookas, I mean, that's 8 firepower. That's more firepower than what you have in your infantry, right? And so if you hit those, and especially if you got a -2 leader, adding the hit number, you know, -1 leader, -1 leader, But bazookas with those guys, fire units in wooden buildings, you're going to hit pretty often, to be honest with you. You're going to hit pretty often. But you need the infantry. And it would be, you could work through this one, especially if he moves units up here. If you get lucky, you could pound these guys here. This is the movement phase. And then move 1 or 2 units into this particular area here, and that would cut these guys off from possibly retreating. So, assuming they're real, we don't know. He's got a real 1, 2, 3, 4 squads. So, one of these guys is probably a dummy. But that's beside the point. And anyway, the point is, heavy casualties leads to really, really, really bad results. Very quick games in this particular scenario. So I'm going to switch over to another game. I'm going to close this one here. And then I'm going to open up another one. Which one was it? Shit. I'm going to Stephen John's game. I think we've covered this before, so we'll just go through quick just to show you another example of getting jammed up on that side. And then we'll go to some other games which might have a slight difference. So, let me back out of this. It's too much there. So the guns are hidden. Good approach here. Everyone's concealed. They're going to go through the terrain there. Half squad. And, that's the funny thing. I mean, Steve B, he rolls a 3, vaporizes the squad in J1. It seems like everybody's initial squad or squads, somebody gets vaporized in this series of logs. And so they just lose guys right from the get-go. I mean, that's what they're supposed to be doing, is baiting some shots out and stuff like that. And again, another 3 get vaporized. Yeah, we can't avoid the 3s, right? But he's trying to push. He's trying to put some pressure on. And, that's the game plan. And unfortunately, he just gets vaporized along the way. And these guys are just, at that point, you've lost a full squad. And then these guys are just going to SFF, and they might get lucky, Good push, good distribution here. Pretty nice. Makes them centralized. Turn 2 guys, that leaves these guys right here. And turn 2 guys can solidly reinforce that and really just combine if that was necessary or possible, or whatever the plan may be. But anyway, I think we covered this earlier. And this is just the German turn, right? The Germans just trying to fire and counter-react. Here comes the Americans' turn 2. A couple preparatory shots. Wow. Looks like some CR over here or something like that, or just some broken units. Taking some heavy shots. Trying to put the pressure on. Like I said, we've covered this one before in description. And then most of your units get broken up here, and then the Germans can counterattack. So this was not exactly as similar to the other one, but I just wanted to show you the comparison with the half squad losses in them attempting to get rid of the concealments, expose dummy units perhaps, and otherwise take fire so the other units can come on. I think the gun showed up. I'm not even sure when the gun showed up, but I think he showed up on the right-hand side. So, and then this just, so many broken units, you just kind of get jammed up, and the Germans just kind of like move forward. You just don't have enough shots to defend against that. And so it's a very touchy-feely sort of situation here where, let's say your first half squad gets vaporized, and he final fires some guy, he rolls doubles. So, hey, that's cool. That's good. I'll send my other half squad, go forward. He gets vaporized, but yet he exposes someone from a concealment. Now you're down a squad. Your other guys, might want to consider, okay, is the movement plan still in place? Do I want to just say, screw it, I got some of these guys done and advance the ball, or assault move advance phase sort of thing? And I think it's what he did. He did get 3 guys on in a dispersed area. So I'm not sure if he did that or not, John, but I think it's what it kind of looked like to me. But that's fine. So you want to adjust your movement plan if your whole front line of guys that are your half squad bump is occurring, and they just simply get vaporized. it allows those units that vaporize them that are first fire to fire on you again for the guys that are moving behind. And the half squads, you essentially need them to break. You expect them to break. You don't expect them to get killed. If they keep getting killed, then it really hinders your movement, and the fact that you're losing units is a second strike against that sort of thing. So, like, again, you get unlucky, you know, just be aware that you know, you might want to change your plan for a little bit, just for a turn or two, get back on your feet, get that American firepower into the game, punch the German in the face a couple times. He might lose face and start retreating, you know. But unfortunately, you know, the dice rolls are just dice rolls. So that was kind of the scene here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and skip to another one because I think we covered this one before. Remember, that's that left-hand side approach. So let's go to.
Yeah, from my point of view, the less said about that one, the better.
No, it's a good learning thing. Where, like I said, I mean, the half squads are perfect. I mean, you want to run them down there, draw some fire, but you just want them to break. I do it all the time, but once they start getting vaporized, the guys are only first fired, and they can continue to fire, and that's just a problem that we don't expect. You know, we just expect our guys to break. You know, and you know, 2 - 2, 4 - 2. You know, that's probably going to give us a 1 morale check. You know, on average most of the time. It's like, no big deal. Hell, I could even pass a 1 morale check, and most of those guys just get pinned, right? You know, yeah, you roll a good roll 6, and he's pinned, but hell, he's up and ready to go. He could at least advance fire somewhere. So let's go with so I've logged I've loaded up Craig's and Eric's game. This is not sure in Eric's game. So I don't recall us covering this one here. So one thing to note, and this is just a setup thing. One thing to note, I'm not sure. Right, because he's not in concealment terrain. But the crest status over here, you got to make sure that if you're in crest status, that the center one can't like be down like a null. It can't be alongside the gully, the depression. So that'll have to be like either on the I-5 side, most likely the I-5 side, right? That's where the Americans are probably going to come in, or the G5 side. So he can't really have both those sides covered at the same time, unfortunately. And but that's not a big deal. And if you are in crest, make sure you put it on top of them to denote, because a lot of times you'll have like leaders, like a 7-0 or whatever. He'll be in the depression, protected. So if that guy breaks, he just drops down and he rallies, and then he goes back up later on. And that would be denoted as the 7-0 being under it. As long as both you guys know that that's where he is, that's fine. And but yeah, it's kind of weird that, you know, on top of it's whatever. It is what it is. But I just want to note that in case somebody else spots that, say, hey, that crest looks kind of awkward. It has to be kind of cockeyed a little bit. So in this case for this crest, you know, if we cock it this way, the only protected hex side is through the I-5 fire, and along this hex row here, J2, I-4, and J5 over here. Everything else is unprotected. And it seems like, as the rules dictate, all those other hex side shots, since they are not within the protected arc, your area fire going out of those. Not sure why that's the case, but that seems to be the consensus above some of the discussions I'm in, or have been in the past, whatever. So single hex crests, depending on where you are on the map board, can put you at a grave disadvantage in terms of returning fire to an enemy. If you're further in the back, not a big deal. He can't get to you. But as we know, most crest statuses do not allow the usage of our big-time support weapons coming off of it. You know, no HMGs in crest. I don't even think MMGs can be in crest. But in the desert wadis, they can be. So, slight difference between the two. Anyway, very, very simple, very minor thing going on there. So it's not a big deal. Not a big deal whatsoever. And again, these guys have nothing else to fire at on the turn 1 units. Good smoke placement in the K2. Unfortunately, that's an open ground shot. And look at it. Eric Z just copies what Steve does. He just rolls a 3, vaporizes that guy. These guys are using smoke to get positions. Not bad. Subsequent first fire. He's got a little fire group going on. The big guns firing at him now. Advanced fire. And we do a little advanced phase. So even this safe assault here, he lost a full squad out of it. I mean, that's a quarter of your units over there, which can be pretty big. The Germans react. He even takes a 12 shot there. And then the Americans decide to go balls to the wall and shove everybody on this other side over here. I think it's pretty cool, to be honest with you, that he's jamming down the throat. And why can we do this, guys? Most of the time, you might not want to funnel your guys down like 1 to 2 hex rows. But what are the Americans dealing with in this scenario? What's the German OB like? What is their OB? How many guys they got?
I think it's 4 full squads and a couple of half squads, if I recall.
Yeah, he's got 5 squads. Now, if you jam all these Americans, sure, he lost 1 squad right at the beginning. So, cuts him down to there. He's got 7 squads bought. He has 10 squads in a pretty much 2 hex radius. Are 4 German any type of squad going to stop that? The American 747s with the 9-2 and 3 bazookas, you know, staring at wooden buildings. And he's not even in wooden buildings, which is going to give him the penalty, well, which can apply the penalty of the backblast. The Americans are in a very, very strong position here. Any German counterattack in this situation is just simply going to be annihilated. And the next best thing is, what did the American player do in here? If you look at the situation, look where they are. Are any of the American units vulnerable to either of these 88s? Nobody is.
No, because of the 1.5 level hex,
Yeah,
1.5 level hindrance.
Yeah, that building right there. That building right here, used well. And this building over here is also essentially covert arc, pains in the ass for the German. So you might say, okay, hey, this guy's still got to go in the open, so on and so forth. Yeah, but how many American squads do we have in the area? How much smoke do you think those guys can draw? You know, you got like 6 or 7 squads that can drop smoke to cover for this 9-2 to make sure he gets down down into that valley, so the 88s can't even shoot at him. And then the Americans can really press their way. So even though, you know, you've got a whole bunch of these forces, hey, we're just going to bottle you up, the Germans simply don't have the manpower to bottle that much American firepower up, you know, only if he gets lucky. And who cares? Let's say he breaks, you know, literally, let's say he breaks half the American force. We still have 3 leaders. All of them are minus leaders. So we break, we drop, even in the open ground. Hell, we could route the K2 back to K2 if that was the situation based on where the Germans are. Those guys are rallying on an 8 in the American turn. You know, you could leave 2 squads there, 3 squads here. Those guys are coming back pretty damn quick. At least 3 of them are coming back, even if they broke all 5. And then the other 5 that weren't broken are just going to be hammering the Germans. So good concentration of force. I think I remember seeing this one. It's like, damn, this is some major ass kicking going on. And, you know, jumps in there close combat, doesn't even hesitate with the 8-1 leader. That'll give a 2-to-1, really good odds. Still a risk, but it's his weakest leader, right? 8-1. It's not the 9-1, not the 9-2. We don't really need to risk those heavy morale guys really close yet. And we've got an entourage of guys covering that flank, so the Germans really can't reinforce that easily. So protecting the melee in case he needs to do something about that. And the Germans are trying to react, bounce back. You know, the Germans didn't change too much in this one here. I mean, he tried to move as far as he could. And the Americans, I think they vanquished them. Yeah, they vanquished them in the close combat. and a couple guys break here and there. I think this guy doesn't exist over here, or maybe he does. I don't know. I moved him. Sometimes I could screw up the log. So, and look what happened. When did he move his 9-2? He's just now moving the 9-2. Right? Look at the German forces. Broken. He's broken. First fired. There's not much else to fire on this guy. So pretty much he's a safe move. He can move where he wants to without a lucky shot coming his way. You know, there might be an errant 1 German or 2 to fire on him. But depending on how well the American attack goes, you know, you throw a 9-2 in this wooden building, am I going to fire at that? Or, you know, you might have a stack of American troops right over here going to fire 20 firepower charts on this guy here. You know, the target selection might be on the guy in the open ground instead of the 9-2. Just saying. You know, give your 9-2 the best chance of survival. Move him safely through terrain that that he can at least lead. You know, these guys in the front, where are they going? They're going to route back into that building where that 9-2 is going to end up. Right? Guys up front. I'm not sure if he's. Let's see where he ends up. Yeah, there you go. He ends up there. So he's in a position to advance fire. All those advanced fire capabilities is going to be 4 firepower. That doesn't matter. 4 even over here, or 2 even over there, the concealed unit, or 4 even down there. Those are great shots. You know, 6s, and then next turn it'll be an 8 even. So this guy, even though he's, you know, defending the good crossroads, and that's a decent spot to be in, it's going to be hard to deal with that American firepower at that point. Again, this guy's going to be rallying in the beginning of the American player turn. And, you know, I don't know which one of these guys might be dummies. You don't know. But at this point, to me, it looks like the American doesn't give a shit. I mean, bring your dummies. I'm going to pile drive through them. And that's kind of, look what's going on. You've got, you know, a giant entourage of units over here, 4 squads. You know, this is hard to ignore. And then you've got 4 squads in the middle. 4 squads in the middle. So, and notice, you know, he's got the bazookas over here because if he's anticipating of occupying the buildings, and then, you know, it seems to me that, you know, if the difficulty of firing bazookas out of the buildings, there's a detriment there, either to hit or vulnerability, whether you want to take the back blast or not. So he doesn't even have that issue over here. There's not a building within like 50 miles of these guys. So, and most likely, if the Germans are going to react, he's going to move into those buildings, which gives us an opportunity to use those bazookas. So, like I said, good concentration of force, you know, one of the basic foundations of, you know, just military actions. Everyone's advanced firing. Guy routes back to him. This guy routes away. Good deal, hopefully to his leader. Hopefully he can rally back up because they need him. We did break another German or another American. Good deal. And balls to the wall. You know, don't let him DM him. Even regardless of who this is, jump to close combat, because if he's tied up, then he can't fire on this guy in the ensuing German phase. So this guy might be able to move and fire, but, you know, we've got a 9-2 with essentially 2 fire attacks coming in that direction. So nothing to ignore. And he does looks like he got 1 in the German player turn. That's amazing. That guy's major kick ass. So now the Germans do what they need to do. They're dropping back. You know, it's a good spot. You know, he really doesn't have anybody on his flank. So the Germans aren't, you know, out of this one yet. I mean, the Americans still have to cross that open ground. And I like this 447 here. What does this 447 give to the German? Even if he still wants to get up to here and he ended the advance phase here, what does this position yield to the German player? Or give the German player, not yield to him? That specific position in terms of, you know, defensive capabilities.
Well, it looks like he's pretty much covering the road.
Right.
From, like, you know, K7 all the way across, basically.
Right. Those are all open ground shots. This is a nice angle from this one here. It's not down here where it's going to catch the L7 hex side. He's up above it.
he can advance to the trench hex at the without any penalties.
Right. How much will that cost for him to advance up into the trench hex?
Or
Yeah, it'll still be 4, right? But he can go directly into the trench. Because
into the trench.
yeah,
right.
he can go directly into that trench. It'll still cost him 4. So that's a huge advantage that he doesn't have to go up into the trees, get blasted, and then have to go into the trench. So another good spot there. And yeah, so essentially he can cover K7, I7 with some firepower. And the 8-1, the 8-1 can't see anything over here, right? Because the orchard. Well, and the building right here too. But if it clips the orchard, he's going to be in trouble. But we have Americans taking some casualties on that side. So good solid right in the middle defense with the Germans. Hopefully they can, you know, let's see. What turn is this right now? This is turn 4 Allied movement phase. They have 3 more turns. Yeah. This might be rough. Again, the Americans can keep pressing, keep being aggressive on here. And notice where he is on turn 4, right? He's got the aggression going, dropping smoke when he can. He's got a guy in the open, right? 447, you're going to shoot this guy, you're going to shoot the 9-2. Right? Pick your poison. Or the stack of dudes over here. You know, you got to pick your poison. And, you know, that's something you got to think about. If this guy breaks, where's he going? He's going to route back to the 9-2 and rally at the beginning of the either German turn or the American turn. This is probably still out of line of sight of the big gun up on the hill. So this guy will hopefully be vanquished, even if this guy does break, right? Because you might see that unit say, hey, he's extremely vulnerable, you know, whatever. Even if he has 2 squads right here, that might be a 12 shot. I mean, so what? Most likely he's just going to break. You know, if he rolls a 2 or 3, you know, whatever. You know, the 2s and 3s comes just like the 11s and 12s. So he's going to break. Essentially, that's what you just count on. He just breaks, pulls him here. But he might draw firepower away from these other positions. This is a +3 stone building. Do you want to waste your dice in the +3 stone building? You know, you might. You might. But there might be just too many Americans there for him to handle. Again, make the German make a decision. Do I want to break this guy? Possibly even CR him, even if I have another squad over here? Or do I go stone building, which is going to reduce my effectiveness on my shots? Maybe get 1 or the 2 units, you know? And then also you got a bazooka over here. You know, he could possibly take a bazooka shot at this position right here. So, end of story. Lots of firepower. The Germans really can't get the hell out of Dodge, so you're making them make a hard decision. You know, and that's where the dice roll's got to come out and do some damage on him. Germans are route. Let me see. Check this route here. 4, 3. Yeah, that's fine. So Germans route back, get up on the hill. Yeah, I'm thinking on this position here, think of where you could route. It may not make a difference. Again, like I said, it may not make a difference. But you've got 2 units, right? What the hell? I'm backing up. Why is this going forward? There we go. So we got 2 units in this position. And again, it may not make a difference in this particular scenario, but think about where you might want to go. He's got to exit, right? Are these guys, is that 6+1 leader going to rally any day of the week with that DM on him? All right.
He's certainly not even me, yeah.
Right. He's just not going to go anywhere. And if these guys do happen to go up here, and then you DM him, and then you route back over here, and they rally, are they an effective deterrent for the Americans getting off? Not really. It's going to be long range. I think this is a 236, 237. Let's assume it's a 237. Long range to P10. The Americans just have to exit P10. 1 minus 2. Yes, he can get effects on that. But 1 smoke grenade right here means he's not going to get jack shit. So he can counter that 1 minus 2 shot. And most likely he's going to be smoking P9 and P10 anyway if these bad boys are still in business. You know? So, what could you do with these guys? You have to take into consideration that you have a possibility of these guys never rallying again. What turn are we on? This is the advanced fire phase of the American turn 4. The American has 2 movement phases from here on out. 2 movements, 2 advances. What can we do to possibly slow down the Americans? If any, remember, there's 2 units there.
So you're looking at I mean, let's see.
Where? What? Because they're both back to O10.
You want either you want like O10 and 10, send one place, one the other.
Right. You go something like this, right?
Yeah, they're both the same distance, right? They're both the same.
Yeah.
It's 1.5 to M9, and then 5.5 to either one of those other 2 locations.
Absolutely.
Right. So.
And luckily he can't route that way because he sees these guys. If this guy wasn't there, we could ignore this one because we can see this guy. But you could also consider N9 as well. You could low crawl here, and then this guy can go up on the hill, or vice versa, depending on whether you think you might get, like if this guy was CX'd already, if this 9-1 was CX'd already, could he advance into M10 at the end of the turn? No. So you'll lose your DM status here and have a small possibility of that guy rallying. And at that point, if you take that into consideration, you might want to put the half squad up on the hill and just use this as a body block. And that way you might get lucky with the 6. I mean, these guys down here, again, they still have the 88s to deal with. I'm assuming these guys are going to be vanquished. So you got the 88s, the 8-1, and you've got a guy over here who's probably going to be rallied. So body block him. Those guys are going to advance forward. Again, if this guy was CX, he can't even get up there. But he can get up there. So he's going to go like this. Re-DM them. We don't really care. You know, we don't care that they're still DM'd because we know we're not going to rally anyway. Even if we moved into O10, he's going to fire on us. He might fire on us because he's got other targets of opportunity over here. I would probably fire on these guys. But that's a game decision, you know. He's got the firepower here to deal with this. And you might want to consider firing on here because if these guys happen to rally, now you've got a leader and you've got this guy with a normal range. And, you know, if you assault move or some sort of bullshit like this, he could point blank fire over here. He could find, essentially this is a final protective fire situation, maybe, you know, and try to deal with you there. But it slows them up a hex, slows them up 1 hex, and they could be destroyed later, absolutely. But it's something that you might want to take into consideration, or throw one back here and keep one guy down below, or keep them off the hill. Whatever you want, whatever you think is probably what the Americans are going to do. You know, the N10 bypass to P10 is a standard move once they start flanking you, and once these guns start spinning around like on a top, it's going to be hard for them to hit things. The best thing going for them is the range and open ground status of the targets that they're probably going to be picking on. But anyway, just something to consider. It may or may not be something you want to do. If you want to push them here, push them here. Not a big deal. But the problem is when the Americans get to this position, what's going to happen to these German units? Let's say they move there.
Surrender at that point, right?
Yeah, they're just going to surrender. They're just going to surrender. They get interdicted here, and they would be probably. So they might be able to route there. Depends if they could see anybody this direction.
Oh.
They might be able to route here, depending on where the Americans are. But anyway, very dangerous spot. If you can route, then you definitely want to, you know, probably low crawl, do the split again, sort of thing, because you're not going to reach any terrain over here. But it gets dangerous. So again, if those are 8 morale units, 9 morale, whatever, leader, decent leader, something like that. You know, well, these guys at that point, if he's back here, then you're really forcing him. Do I fire on and keep the 9 morale unit DM'd that can still roll a 5 to rally, or do I start firing on the big guns? This guy's got sights to both of them, so he's got 3 targets to shoot for, and the 337 has 2 targets to shoot at. And most likely they'll, well, no, it's a 337. Sorry, I thought it was a 747. So at that point, he's probably going to fire here and DM him anyway. But you never know. You never know what type of targets might show up.
So, Stu, I think this is me and Not Sure's game.
Yeah.
Looks familiar.
Yeah.
I don't think those guns are going to make it to do any of that.
Right, exactly. The Americans are hard and fast. Like I said, these Germans, based upon where the Americans were, are just going to be exactly what happened here. Super aggression, take them out. You know, an 88 hopefully won't get his rate of fire. And those guys just get vaporized. The Americans are just overwhelming the Germans at this point. And that's fine. You know, it's one of those things that happens. And but I just want to point out, you know, if you take out every routing situation independently. And remember, both these guys don't route together. You route them separately. And because they route separately, that might pop, something into your head. Say, wait, I route these guys separately. This guy can go here. That guy can go there. And so that might some strange idea like that might pop into your head every once in a while. And to bring in those sort of situations. But yeah, the Germans are kind of like literally up against the wall in this one here. The Americans have so much of their force intact. Remember, how much did we lose right in the beginning? We lost that one squad. But then the Americans reinforced with everybody over there and just became a sledgehammer. And then they essentially, once this breaks, it's once this is broken, it's over. Because we could approach this side. He's just not going to have enough firepower to deal with us. And it's just as simple as that. So we just smoke the living daylights out of this guy, or just surround him with units if necessary. He's just a crew, and he's just going to die. Just like the Americans have been doing the rest of the game. And the bazooka, too. He's got the intensifier. He actually destroyed that unit. But at this point, the American doesn't care. And then he just swarms him. So, but I just want to point out the difference between, turn 1 guys come on. They drop some smoke, kind of get in a decent defensive position. They did lose their concealment, I think. And then the turn 2 kind of reinforce that side. And we'll see how that differs from some of the other scenarios that we see. The first 2 were the guys came on, got hammered hard. And that really throws the Americans back on their hind legs just until they can get a foothold somewhere else. Let's see, what are we going to look at? Okay, now what we're going to deal with is let's go to Eric. Damn it, was it the same game? Eric and Craig's. Was that the same game? Did I miss something? I think I did.
This one was mine and Not Sure's right here.
Okay. Maybe I wrote it down. Well, maybe it's MGT's. Okay, we'll go to MGT's game. Mark's game. And you guys could resync here. Again, most of the German setups are pretty much similar. They're pretty much the same. So what you're looking at is, guns up on the hill, guns up on the ridge. You know where they're going to be for the most part. You might get tricky. And the Germans only have a small amount of units. And again, that turn 1 entry phase is where I think really the focus scenario happens. And let's see, what is this? I'm not sure if that was an advanced phase or not, because the turn sequence isn't going. Let's see. Okay, boom. Smoking. He starts moving guys in on the side. Okay, let's see what happens. I think I wanted to focus on something else over here in this one here. Again, what happened? Another guy got vaporized. You know, half squad gets vaporized. You're losing guys. I don't care what game, how well the players did or how poorly the players did. Everybody's losing guys over here. Because the Germans have nobody else to fire at, and so they're just free to fire. They know nothing else is going to happen to them. And so they just keep firing, boom, boom, boom. You know, and if we get lucky, and there's another DM right there, it looks like looks like the leader got killed there. So, maybe not. Oh yeah, they want to come in. Again, we just massive casualties on this side. Massive casualties. Let me flip that on the other side. I don't care about the dice rolls right now. And 88, like I said, there's just nothing else to look at. Which just kind of, you know, based upon the number of casualties you get. Yes, you still outnumber. Even if you lose a squad or two over there, you're still going to outnumber the Germans 2-1 for the most part, right? You're still going to be on the same range basis on them. They have 4 range, you have 4 range. You have smoke, they don't. But I think when you lose guys over here as the American player, you might get a little set back. I was set back. I'm pretty sure everybody else was set back when they start losing guys, especially little hot squads running forward, shit like that. You think, like, because you usually don't experience guys just simply just vaporizing. You know, breaking here or there, yeah, whatever. But when guys are just being lost, just bodies just littering the field, there's problems. And when you're getting broken and really nowhere to route, depends on how aggressive the German player is, then that starts to be wear down on you. Essentially, your entire force is gone. I would love next time if I play this one again, I probably, depending on, assuming the German setup is the same as all the other German setups that are pretty much that we'll see, is just advance those sons of bitches on in concealment, and then, you know, turn 2. Do the bait on turn 2 when the turn 2 force comes on. And what advantage that might give us is that we could line the guys up like they have here. I mean, essentially this could be your off-board setup and just line them up in these turn 2 boxes up here. These guys can move left and right wherever they want to go. So if they get a good bait over here, that could afford this unit over here to bust ass and double time and penetrate that area if he gets lucky. You know, if the 88 takes a shot, first fires, then we cut this side because now he can't swivel. You know, so that, I think that will give us a lot more offensive capabilities in turn 2. Again, whether you want to do that or not, it's just something to think about if you play this one again. Try it, see how the game develops from there. And you might be stronger for it, you might be weaker for it, but I don't know. It seems the same result on that turn 1 entry form for almost every single group of players. And I think there's just one thing I want to point out here, which will transition into the into one of the rules concepts that we don't experience in starter kit. And so turn 2 comes on. I think this might be turn 2 or 3. We're going to burn through here. We got a nice hero out of there, very beneficial. Again, these guys, I mean, there's 237 right up at the front. Down on these guys. Let me see. I think it deals with a 447 on the left-hand side. Captured unit here. The victory points. Adds the victory point, the ease of getting guys off. So that's definitely a benefit for us in that case. The 237, I think, did its job in slowing those guys down and causing some problems. It's a little half squad. Can we afford to lose that? That's based upon the Germans' plan. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm not saying it's a perfect move, but I think it could be effective. I think it could be effective and throw a loop for the Americans. They might fire on these guys here instead of your machine gun posts up here, and these guys essentially could get free shots off if they have to deal with the 237 right in their face. And if you get lucky and break that 9-2 with that 237 right next to them, that could be a very, very big deal. Okay, I think it's going to be here on the left-hand side. Come on now. Yeah, I think it is. Yep. Lieutenant Buck's going to run down the gully here in a second, I think. Yep, 6. Come on, Buck. Yeah, this has got to be it. All right. It'll just take me a second to get there, gentlemen. Sorry. Maybe crunch. Yeah, crunch goes there. Yep. Okay, right here. Boom. All right. The German player pops Mark pops a 4 out of his dice bot. Gets a good roll, excellent roll, and unfortunately, Mark G pops an even better roll, rolls a snakes, and then unfortunately rolls a 9, which pushes us into the berserk status. So the problem, this is going to actually be very. I'm going to compare this to Tony in my game in terms of what the berserk unit needs to be doing. So the final fires, so the advanced fire phase. Let's say we're going to just go from here and look at the berserk status. Let's see if he survives into the. Let me get it to the German movement phase. Where are we? Axis. Okay, here we go. Sniper activation. I don't want to go too far. I think we might have some prep fires. Okay, hold on. Back up. All right. So, last turn, the Americans advanced here, right? Americans in the gully here. In the gully here. I think he's broken. Oh, oh shit, he isn't broken. So these guys here are legit just chilling, right? This guy is right next to this 447. Yeah, he might go right in the center. How can we control the berserk unit's movement? And do we want to? So if he goes here, we know that the berserk unit the berserk units have to move first in the movement phase. So the berserk unit simply just charges him, and well, he rolls snake eyes. I think he vaporizes them. It happens every single time. But beside the point of snake eyes being rolled, that's pretty wicked. So the berserk unit has to charge that 337. Why does he have to charge the 337? If I can back the log up. You guys know the rule on the berserk units.
Yeah, because he has to charge the nearest unit in hexes, I believe. Correct?
I think so. Hexes or MF. I always got to look it up.
I think it's hexes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think he has to charge the nearest unit in hexes.
But he has to take the route in.
He has to take the shortest route in MF.
Right. So he's got to bypass if he needs to. So, what targets does this berserk unit have to deal with? Remember, it's the German movement phase.
Well, I mean, right now he's got to charge the 337. I mean, he doesn't have any choice. That's the nearest unit.
Right, but what other units are in his line of sight?
Oh, Captain Crunch.
These guys.
No, he's sorry. He's in the gully. Yep.
Yeah.
He's in the gully. All these 3 guys are in the gully, so he's either got the broken unit,
Right, or the 337. Right.
or the 337. Yeah, those are the only 2 units he can see. Yeah.
All right, that's what I want to point out. So again, a very similar thing happened in Tony's in my game. So if the American player wants the berserk unit to pull this way, fine, leave him there. If he wants the berserk unit to pull out of the area, he could either advance him here or back here. Now, what targets does the German have if the 337's located out of his line? I'm just going to put it there, located out of his line of sight. This would be
now he's only got the broken unit.
Right. What path must he take to get there?
He's going to have to. Well, question is, he's got 1. It's going to cost him what? 4 to go into the gully in H4, so it'd be right. That's going to be 4 to go in there.
All right.
Then he's got to expend 2 to come out into G4.
All right.
So it's 1, 5, 7. So he can't actually get to the. He can't get to him, right?
He can get to them. What other route does he have to take? Clear the units off the map. What other route does he have to take?
Hold on a second. Oh yeah, that's this thing right here.
Remember, shortest in MF. It's almost like he's, no, it's not necessarily, it's almost like he's picking a spot to route to. But now he's picking the nearest in hexes. He has to go to the shortest in MF. So will he even enter H4? If F4 is his target.
You go through H3?
Right.
Oh, okay, all right. I see what you're saying. Right, so it'd be 1, 3 because it will cost him 2 to go into the gully and then 2 to come out into G4. So it'd be 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, all right, yeah, all right. Okay.
So you know what path he has to take. He doesn't see these guys until he actually goes here.
Right, but then he has to choose. Right, but then he says, "Oh, this guy's even closer," so now he charges the guy in H3.
Right. So now he picks, but at least you get a shot on him at 12. That's gonna be 12 even from this shot. It's gonna be 12 even from this shot. It's gonna be 20 -1 from that guy. So your defensive capabilities of just vaporizing this unit, at least casual reducing them, are pretty decent. And if he enters these hexes, since it's his turn anyway, right? You're not moving, and let's say you CR him, on average, because you're going to get 2 shots. You get this shot and this shot. And when he enters this hex, what happens when he enters that? Let's say nothing happened to him right here. He's got 10 morale, right? And he goes into this hex. What's the firepower that you're going to attack from this unit here?
It's going to be well, if he didn't fire the first time, it's going to be a 20 because it's going to be tripled. So 20 plus 1 minus 1 minus 1. So 20 minus 1.
Yeah, he could fire 20 -1 here, first fire, and then subsequent first fire because it costs 2 movement factors and a hex. So he could actually fire twice in that hex with that 20 shot, and then essentially what the half shot, the 8, the 8 on top of that right there. So he's got this guy has a 20 and 8. This guy, he's got the same thing, a 20 and an 8, right? Whichever hexes he chooses. He can choose to wait until he enters that hex to vaporize him at 20 and then 8. And this guy also has a shot on him because it's right down the gully. So you're going to have 5 shots. One's going to be a 6, at least a 6 even. I'm not sure if you add that. I don't think, I'd have to look up the rule on that. Simply because it doesn't hit the brush, you probably don't add it. But let's assume in worst case scenario he adds it. I'd have to look it up. That'll be a 6 even. Still nothing to spit at. It'll be a 6 even, 2 even. You have 6 shots. 2 20s, 2 8s, a 6, and a 2. And can he survive that? Likely. Is he going to? Probably not. But he could survive this move here. Because nobody could fire on him except for the 337 and this guy right here. And so this unit's a lot more vulnerable. If he dies, this unit goes to Berserk. Now you got a 447 in the midst right there. So you could kind of play with the Berserk unit depending on what your plan is as the Americans. Do I want to pull him away from here by going this way and kind of like leaving the gully open, right? Because I mean, hell, we can come up to here. It's not going to be point blank. We get the cover for the crag, and essentially we could skirt by the 447. And we got this guy over here. So again, depends on what your plan is. But I'm just throwing a comparison of what we had to face. Tony and I had to face with an R game. So those options are available. Leave it there. Move the Berserk unit here. He gets shot at, or you can play with him, knowing that he has to go this way, and knowing that he's got to take that route there and hopefully get vaporized. So just something that you could play with Berserk units. Again, a lot of times for the starter kit guys, Berserk unit behavior, think of it as sort of like routing, where you kind of have to take a certain path. Simply because they have to bypass, it's a little more easier to control the Berserk unit, but most of the time he's pretty close anyway, and it's just a no-brainer. But a little tricks that you could try to pull to make the Berserk unit go left and right. Like if he had to go exit scenario, it was like over here, and he actually made it and nobody else was in existence, and he's way back here, and like the VC are over here, then you essentially pulled a guy and now he's out of the game. This broken unit, you know, caused this Berserk unit to come away from the victory conditions, and then be essentially a non-factor for the rest of the game. Essentially, you, I mean, this guy's going to route anyway because he could route in the route phase, but he still will be attacked by the Berserk unit. And so that's that. And now what we're going to do is we're not continuing. Now we're going to go to my game and Tony's game, and we're going to show you on the opposite side. Whereas here, this is a defending Berserk unit. And now I'm going to show you what we did with an offensive Berserk unit. And then we're going to cover one more thing in our particular game. Go here. This will be further down the line, so worry about sinking too quick. I gotta. It's far into the game. Oh, you could kind of watch, but my game's up and going, or Tony, not my game is up and going.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me sync.
And I'll kind of rush through it. It's kind of, yeah, I kind of trudge my way through this one. Tony rips me a new one again, like I showed you before, beginning here. So whoever's synced up, we'll give you another second or so. So turn one guys come on. He's got a great guy in that crest status as we covered before. Punches him in the face. These guys try to. Well, let me switch this now. Move that over here. There we go. Hopefully I didn't block the last one. So we've got my guys coming on. I get broken. This, that, and the other. So that side kind of gets decimated. I lose a squad and a half over there and a leader. I think I had the worst casualties out of everybody's log over there. And but it's like, hey, you know, I got to change my plan a little bit, you know, so I decided to throw Miller on that side and Green on the other side. And my plan here was essentially just, okay, I can't do any flanking bullshit because I really won't have the leadership to actually get guys going. I pretty much want to have one path, and it's got to be straight through the middle of the city. So that's what I reserved my plan change there. I wanted to obviously give these guys another leader over here. There's still 2 full squads. The bazookas, what I was really looking to help get into play with that -1 leadership modifier. So I set them up here. And I'm taking advantage of our little building here. And I'm sure Tony was frustrated. And Tony, you could jump in any time. I'm sure Tony was frustrated by the line of sight blockages for most of my guys trying to advance over here. And you just gotta, and the same thing over here. That's a great spot to jump here, and then right here, maybe take a shot. But you can try to avoid those 88s somewhat. So, and I was very fortunate to drop a lot of smoke in the game. I kind of got it when I needed it, to be honest with you, in the first half. Easily the first half, first 2/3 of the game. So I was not disappointed whatsoever. Even if my guys were breaking, stuff like that. I knew he couldn't, well, hopefully he couldn't afford to surrender. So I played a little more conservatively on both sides. A bunch of guys, get a whole bunch of guys together over here, try and generate some sort of giant fire group. I think he paid about half my guys most of the time. Yeah, all those guys are over there pinned. But I think it took some more casualties. But trudging my way through. Note this guy here on the right-hand side if my control button doesn't break off. Right? Keep this guy in the back of your mind. 237 that wasted these guys over here. You'll see him again later. So I don't mind this position here. I'm feeling confident. I have my 9-1 leader bazooka is exactly what I want. I got another bazooka, just like the other player had. He's got his bazookas in his wooded area, so I could just launch those suckers any day of the week, and hopefully break them. And I think I get a couple lucky shots. You know, I get break a couple guys here and there. I'm not worried about it. Tony has a great eye for LOS. This 88 right here. Blasted living shit on my guy in Q3. He looked right down little hedgerows area. Didn't hit any of those obstacles. I missed that, and I had to pay the piper for that one. So I'm pinning a couple guys. He's moving 1/2 squad over, and based upon his setup, like I said, this guy here and this guy here, I thought this guy was a dummy, and I know this guy's not a dummy. And then he's revealed a couple guys by their moving. And so one of these stacks is definitely a dummy. This guy might be a dummy. So I know that there isn't much of a force over here. So I could try to be aggressive without losing my 9-2 leader, because I only have the 1 leader over there. So I wanted to, let loose the leash on my hounds. But the 9-2, again, I was trying, just like that other player, moving my leader last, because he has to go last. And if Tony doesn't fire anybody, then he makes me make a decision. Do I move him non-assault movement? Do I move in the open if I don't get my smoke, whatever like that? Because a 2-2, 2-1, you break the leader and you break some guys behind him, and shit happens. And so that's where I was. You see me cowering up on the hill right now, with a bazooka. So this is for if anybody wants to pop open, then I'm just going to do a long-range bazooka shot. So I couldn't afford those guys to get killed. Tony again shoots this guy over here. I actually didn't expect Tony to take the shot when I moved a guy there. He vaporizes him, and that wasn't good, because he was pretty much the wall to kind of like support all my other troops doing what they needed to do. So I was kind of behind the 8 ball again there. I get rid of those dummies, put this guy on 2nd level. I know he's in line of sight to these guys, but +3 stone building, he's going to be hard to hit, especially if they change covered arc. I was hoping to bait some shots from those 88s, and even if he breaks, this guy could be a dummy, could not. I could just stay up there, and the 9-2 is in close proximity to deal with anybody going to that building. But that's just what I had to do. I had to take some risks here. Giant stacks. I'm making okay progress on the right-hand side. Okay. I mean, not bad considering, I didn't have much. A lot of broken units. Not a big deal. You got to keep pushing forward. I think I get a lucky close combat on Tony there. And then I'm adjacent to this guy with 8 firepower. 8 firepower +2 is not bad. But if Tony misses that shot there, then he's going to be looking at a 12 up 1 on the backside. So I'm making Tony make a decision here. Do you want to prep fire? Or do you not want to prep fire? I don't think I'm quite in line of sight to his big boys over here. And I got another full squad over here. So I'm just going to advance through here. Here I'm just kind of make my way. Tony does retreat back to the town. There's our 237 and H6. Watch out. Watch where he ends up eventually in the next turn or two. Force my way into those buildings. Try and blast my way into there. I get a lucky shot, break his other guy over here, so he becomes a non-factor for the rest of the game. And I try to get my units all clustered up together. He takes some 88 shots on me. Tries to do the best thing. Here's the best thing that happens to me in the game is he breaks his 88 in the back. So I got a big thumbs up on that, because I intended to move my bazookas up here and shoot this guy here, shoot the 88 with my bazookas and try to get some damage and break that unit. Once that unit was broken, I figured my firepower could take me for the rest of the game out. So I get some decent shots. Tony gets a couple shots. We kind of exchange firepower. I got to force the issue, move a guy in the front. Again, if this 8-, the guy with a bazooka, point blank range on the 88, and his crew took a 12 casualty reduction morale check, so his crew's a goner. But the actual squad could actually man the gun if you wanted to. You got to do what you got to do, and that's kind of where I need to put more pressure on him. I got lots of firepower. Green is right here up on level 1 with decent firepower and a bazooka, and so we're gonna make our push here. This is turn. I think it's German turn 4. I'm not sure the German turn 4. And here I'm breaking a lot of his units. So I'm very confident at this point in, at least bouncing back from my debacle on the right-hand side. And I've got forces where I need them to be. He did repair his 88 in the back, but the other one pretty much is You know, it's going to be hard to hit, etc., etc. And I'm in decent position. So he breaks a couple guys. Big shots there. And so let's get to the rally face here. Again, we had a hell of a fight here. His little 237 that was over in crest status over here is broken right here. Again, we're going to keep an eye on that guy. So everyone broke. All the Germans are broken in that building over there. They're easy. They're either capture bait, which I'm not sure that I have time to actually capture them, or at least they can't shoot my flank. So that's what I'm betting on right there. I get a lucky self rally right in the middle of the street, or a morale check. I think he fired on me. I got a lucky 2 morale check. Rallies get a hero. Again, looking good. I can add that hero's modifier and dice roll modifier to any attacks, which I really need at this point. And so critical thing happens here. He routes this guy out of the line of sight of all these units. So he essentially is not in the game anymore. And then I route another guy to the my leader. And we're going to reach the point where my guy goes berserk. Okay. Here's the situation. My guy goes berserk. Where does he have to charge? And if you want to clear the screen, clear the map screen, clear the counters off the screen, he's right here in Q6. And there's an enemy in S7 and an enemy in P7. Those are the closest in hexes. So where does he have to charge, gentlemen?
Well, I mean, the DM squad is pretty easy. That's 2 hexes and 3 MF. Oh, except if they're the same distance, don't you get to choose?
I'm not sure. I still thought it was in MF. I think we looked that up, didn't we, Tony?
I wonder if we got this wrong, Stu, because I'm looking now, and it says in
charge,
X, not in MF.
If equidistant, the attacker may choose which of those hexes he will charge. At the start, each non-melee unit must charge the nearest in hexes, not MF, and must have had sufficient MF enter its location during its movement phase and attempt to destroy it. If equidistant, the attacker may choose which of those hexes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't choose. I thought that I had to go over here. So based upon my mistake, what I did was fired all my bazookas, and I think my bazookas is primarily because I'm not sure if he got that gun yet or not. But this is the mistake. But based upon that, I wanted to kill this guy so I could go up here. So essentially that's what happened, is I killed that guy, which left 1 target for the Berserk unit to go. And those guys were actually DM2 up there. Yeah, all those guys broke. Those guys...
You can still choose to go.
Right. But I didn't think that I could.
You're not forced to go there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I know if I broke this guy, that he would simply be eliminated. So now the path up the hill, essentially this gives me, I didn't want him to have to move over here after misinterpreting the rule. I didn't want him to be over here because he would be worthless to me. I needed to take the spot out here, and I used my bazookas to essentially do what we did in the defensive player on the right-hand side over here with that German unit. I thought that if I removed that unit, then I'm forced to go here. But obviously I had a choice. But in my mind, I didn't have a choice. That was my thinking behind it, is destroy him, and therefore I can essentially funnel the Berserk unit to a different location. Yeah. And so I wanted him to go up here. As soon as he went Berserk, say, yeah, I go up there. It's like I said, oh shit, maybe I have to go here based on MF and not hexes. So anyway, he gets up the hill, and that was the comparison I wanted to do between the Berserk units. Obviously, my interpretation was wrong, but again, you're going to make mistakes in your games, and you know, as long as your decisions are based upon what you think is supposed to be going on, then that's fine. You know, clarity will happen later. I jump up in the hex, and then I do my smokes. I move my advances again. Even with the Berserk unit, in all actuality, the Berserk unit is a huge bonus to me at this point. Why is the Berserk unit so strong for me?
Well, he's got a morale
Oh,
of 10.
morale. Yeah, 10 morale usually
Yeah.
help. That means you're going to get where you want to go.
Right. Like 10 morale. He doesn't have a lot of units. Yes, you can roll low, but he could still get to where he's going to go. And hopefully eliminate whoever the hell's there. You know, he's not going to be CX'd if he has to advance up into this location, right? He just simply moves up there and then kicks somebody's ass. Hopefully kick somebody's ass in there. So we've got the DM going on there, and I think we got route face. He actually could route down there. Nice location here, and then he gets to route over to N7, which is cool. I mean, essentially he's out of my way right now.
Gotcha, just where I want you, Stu.
I know exactly. All my units are. I mean, I'm in his trench.
Right
I got
in your
my.
truck. There you go.
I got my hero. The hero's manning the 88. He's gonna repair it, and
Suddenly that Storm Tiger shows up, baby.
exactly. Miller's in the street. I got the 9-2 on the hill, taking these shots over here. I'm ready to go. Right. Yes. Is there a risk of this guy getting blown apart by this? Sure. But I still have enough units to go over. So, could I have moved him down? Yep, I could move him down. But then he's only got one target to shoot at. Right? So, I'm making Tony make a decision. Do I shoot these guys? Because he's got no. Again, these guys are broken. He's broken. He's a wounded 8-0, and this guy's still berserk. Right? Because the broken unit routed out. He never killed anybody. He's got 2 full squads and a hero in this location with a bazooka 2 hexes away. So Tony has to make a decision. Where's my target? You know, assuming you're not going to get the rate of fire shot that you want with that 88. So Tony makes his move here. This guy self rallies with the snakes. Excellent roll. Gets a 6+1 leader. Honestly, the self rally was not big a deal. The leader was the problem for me, because now he's got the movement factors to kind of get to wherever the hell he wants to go. Because the snake eyes happens every once in a while. Sure, he can self rally, not a big deal. But the leader was the big problem for me. And look how many leaders he's got anyway. He's got every goddamn hex has got a leader in it. So he's got serious mobility. And then this little bastard in the back also rallies. So that was the guy that killed all my guys over here. He makes it back there after getting shot and broken up and et cetera, et cetera. Now I know I'm going to be in big trouble, because he's going to have some infantry units to be able to move. And that 237 was going to be a big problem. His 88 pummels my stack at level 1, just destroys them. And he gets a 1 to hit, so he gets rate of fire, which is not good for me. Great for Tony, not for me. I think he just keeps it at that. Maybe, yeah, he rolls another to hit 11, so he misses whatever target. I think his secondary target is probably right here. But he starts counterattacking, and Schultz goes up here. This is the other interesting thing that's happened in our game. I mean, it's a hell of a fight the entire time. I'm trying to blast anything I can. I'm getting some just average rolls, and he's getting some average rolls to make his morale check. So, and a route over here. This guy's got a decent opportunity to rally, hopefully rally in the American player turn, and he moves this little bastard right here, right? So I think, oh my God, you know, he had him up here. It's going to block my guys getting off. Now, if I want to get those guys off, I have to move here and go right in front of his 88's face. Berzerk has to move first, right? That's the rally phase. The prep fire comes and goes, movement phase. So, how could we use the Berzerk unit to our advantage in this particular situation? What can we do with this Berzerk unit to make him actually semi-functional, instead of just charging some guy and stopping in a hex and calling it a day, right? Because, first of all, can we get this guy off the board? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. If he were normal, can he make it off the board?
Oh.
Sure, if he was in normal, he could, right? Assuming everybody missed every shot at him.
Right. If he was normal, he can get up.
Down towards the He's got enough movement points anyway.
Right. So how can we make this guy normal? Or can he have an impact on the turn, being a berserk unit?
Well, he'd have to kill somebody and lick the blood off their bayonets. It's the only way to make him non-berserk. Oh, or if he can't see anybody, I guess.
What if he tries to draw fire?
Well, yeah,
3/7,
absolutely. He could draw fire.
but,
Yeah.
He could kill somebody. Once he kills somebody, what happens to him?
He becomes non-berserk.
And then what can he do? As an American squad. What can American squad do if he's good order in the movement phase?
Well, I mean, he can throw smoke, but he can't. But the berserk unit has to like charge into somebody else's hex. He has to charge into his hex if he can.
Right. So what the critical factor is, the berserk unit needs to become good order so he could toss smoke. Because berserk units can't toss smoke. I need him to be good order. How can this berserk unit become good order in his movement phase?
Oh, you talk infantry overrun?
Infantry overrun.
Okay.
Right. We have two targets to infantry overrun. Which one would you select and why? Remember, we're trying to think about one way to make this unit useful, because otherwise he's not of any use. Well, he has to charge one of these guys, right?
I mean, if most of your units are on the left, you probably want him to go up to Schultz.
Right.
Q8.
Right. So that's kind of the idea. So we try to infantry overrun Schultz. The Tony, you have the option of getting out of dodge, right? Or taking the close combat attack. Is that right?
No, I don't think you do. I think I looked this up the other day. I'd have to double check it, but I don't know if he has that option against a berserk.
A berserk unit. Yeah, I don't know. There might be something. Yeah.
He might have to just stay and take his punishment. And I did not see this coming. I'm going to admit that. I thought I was being so smart putting him there until you declared infantry overrun, and then I'm like,
I didn't think about it until I got desperate. It's like, what the hell can I use that unit for? Say, wait, infantry override. It can kill you while I'm moving.
Right. The SMC has two options if in good order. It may attack, and then the MMC engage immediately, or the SMC may immediately, prior to defensive first fire, enter free of all enemy fire into any adjacent accessible location of the attacker's choice.
Yeah, look at 15432 though, Mark. Go to the HOB section where they say, and I'm it's kind of a tough sentence to unpack, but they say, may immediately conduct an infantry overrun with neither the normal task check nor increased movement factor requirement. They're talking about a berserk unit now, and without the option of the SMC entering a new hex.
Sorry, where are you? You're
15432.
15. Oh, 15.
Yeah, so this is in a berserk section.
Yeah, under the CC marker. That's
okay. Yep. Berserk.
Yeah, that's huge.
Will immediately conduct an infantry over. Oh, okay. If the only known infantry unit is a lone SMC, a berserk will immediately conduct. Okay. Would neither the NTC nor increased MF normally required, and without the option of the SMC entering a new hex. Okay.
Right. That's
if
huge.
you just rush in with bayonets and just stab away, I guess.
Right. And I thought that we had because I think I remember the conversation Tony and I had. Tony said, well, if I retreat him anyway, because I thought that he could retreat. If I retreat him anyway, I'm just going to charge him again anyway. So, and then, do whatever. And so, and then we essentially, I think Tony found that section there where he can't go anywhere. And the best thing about the berserk unit entering that particular hex is it only costs him one movement factor, and he doesn't have to do the NTC, which is essentially makes that unit essentially non-existent and I get a 7-1 in close combat attack on him, which I can hopefully make. I think it's a 10 or some shit like that. So I vaporize that guy, right? You know, they just trudge him. He becomes unberserk. He's only expended 1 movement factor. So I got him back to normal. Then he can't get off the board. I guess technically he could CX. But I needed to smoke the 88, right? He's the best guy to be able to smoke the 88. So I try to get him closer to the 88 to smoke him, because my smoke's been working really well all game. And I'm really super, even right now, I'm confident my plan can happen because I got a backup plan, because these guys can smoke if something happens. And unfortunately, the 237 here fires and pins this. I think he pins him. Pins him or breaks him, CR, something happens. He breaks him. So the 237 that destroyed me right in the beginning in H3 makes his way back here after rallying, fries that freshly unberserk unit right when I was going to drop my smoke on him. And what was my... Oh, I missed it then. So, but I've got a backup plan because I got the hero as well, because I've got enough points over here to win. This guy's first fired. He's within 2 hexes, right? And this is 3 hexes away, so now he can't even fire on me if I rush up R10. If I get a smoke on top of the 88, you know, I'm about as good as I can get, to be honest with you. Because it's going to be a +3 to hit. He's going to maybe rotate for 1 guy, and so on and so forth. The 149 just jumps down here, because I know these guys are going to have shots, and hopefully they won't have subsequent shots. And then the other unit goes in there, takes the residual and eats it. And the rest of the, from that point on, the rest of the game was just freaking shooting like a fish in a barrel. And Tony just unloads on me with everything. It's just, this gonna go back to turn 1. It's actually even worse, because I think you break everything, Tony.
Yeah, I don't think a single guy passes a morale check.
Yeah, and then he leaves the hero out by himself. I think the hero was the smart one, trying to run away from the carnage. But yeah, but that was the plan. And trying to get that berserk unit, again, I inadvertently didn't understand the rule. And, you know, now we know the difference is you could choose a target. It doesn't matter if it's within the same hexes. The MF has no bearing on which one takes precedence. You choose one and then go from it from there. And so I could have charged this guy directly, but I got there anyway. Bazooka's over here. These guys were already broken and wasn't going to waste them on those guys. But the interesting that came out was that infantry overrun. I wanted to show you guys the infantry overrun that came apart in our game, because I thought it was a very interesting part. This is a really hard fought battle that we had. I think we both had our ups and downs in this game here. He was crushing me early. I was putting up a lot of pressure on him in the middle. Lost a couple guns. He lost his crew. Like the first morale check I got on the crew right here, I think he rolls a 12. So that crew's gone. And it could have been a real disaster for Tony, but Tony stuck with it. I mean, most of his guys were broken. I mean, he had like 2 guys left and they were off to the side. So what the hell are they going to do? Well, with a little bit of support and help from his buddies, he rallied back and came back and stuck with it, you know, soldiered on. And you can only do what you can do. 2 firepower, you know. You don't have 6 firepower. You don't have 8 firepower. You don't have a -1 leader. All you have is 2 firepower. You got to play with what the dice have given you. And that was effective. The residual firepower, effective. You know, and he set up his units into a position at the game end, knowing that I have to get a certain number of troops off. I'm sure he was counting victory points. I got to get 4, 6, all 3, 4 of these squads off, and he did exactly what he needed to do, and he punished the living shit out of me down this little road here. And again, that one turn before, even right here, and when I did the infantry overrun, I tried to hit some smokes here. Didn't come out, and that's the one turn that I didn't get the smoke. So you just got to go with it, go with your plan, go with your gut. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But this was one hell of a fight, and I really appreciate the game, Tony. and it was pretty good. It was pretty good on that one there. So
Yeah, I think you were a bit unlucky in the end, but that left side is tough. All that open ground at the end to cover. I think all the replays I watched, all the Americans that won went down the right side and took care, advantage of the woods
right,
and the grain to get off.
right. You smashed those guys over there. I just figured, okay, I'm not gonna have any time to flank that side, so I just gotta go down the gut. Hopefully, kill you in the interim, and just essentially my plan at that point was bring my bazookas to bear on your 88s. Just bring the bazookas to bear. Hopefully you'll fire at the leaders, and hopefully not the guys with the bazookas, and that 8 firepower. Now remember, another thing you guys need to take into consideration: those bazookas are firing heat ammunition, and the heat ammunition can actually destroy the guns, or at least malfunction the guns. So other than having an effect on the crew, they can actually destroy the guns. So check on those gun destruction rules. It's low, right? It's not going to be like, I need a 7 to blow up the 88. But the 88's a large target in a trench, so you're essentially only +1 to hit. It's actually pretty easy to hit the 88s. And if you get a result low enough on that 8 chart, what are we looking at? I think a K malfunctions it and a KA destroys it or some shit like that. I'd have to read it up. Actually, it might be on the gun destruction. I don't even know. You'd have to look at I think that's what it is. Is the K will malfunction the weapon. The K will obviously casually reduce the crew because you have to target the gun. It will actually casually reduce the crew. So it will kill the crew, and then the gun I think will malfunction at that point. And I'm pretty sure that's the rule. It's been a while since I perused that rule section. But check your gun destruction rules. And, gun destruction table, here it is. Ordnance bomb, OBA, DC, small MG. I don't see the heat on here. But, yeah, malfunction CR. I think it's considered ordnance. Malfunction CR5. K result equals elimination if AP was fired, but it was heat. So, very important to be able to use those and try and destroy those nasty weapons. Free shot, good firepower. I hope I didn't screw that one up, but that was kind of the plan. Is again the 9-1 to salvage the bazooka, bring it up, hopefully get some firepower going. And a matter of fact, in that last turn, I fired my bazookas. During that last turn, I think they both just kind of evaporated. They both got 11. So again, not a big deal. You just fire them. They're support weapon, gentlemen. Don't be afraid to use them. If you never fire them, they can never hurt anything, right? So if your opponent knows you're never going to use your flamethrower unless you're like right on top of him and they're all broken or whatever, this, that, and the other, and yeah, that's an effective shot, but sometimes there might be like a half squad over here where I inadvertently thought that he was going to impact my plan. I gotta use my weapons to promote and enforce my other plan to come to fruition. Am I taking a risk of those guns being destroyed? Sure. 11, 10 breakdown for the 43s. I think I had 44s. But still, that's just a dice roll that you just have to avoid. And most of the time, you will avoid it. 1 in 12 chance. That's no big deal. I'll take those odds any day of the week. And 1 in 6 is actually even same thing with the flamethrower. 12 firepower, no modifiers. I don't care what it's in. It's probably going to break whatever target you're shooting at, and then use that to penetrate through. If that's the only thing that particular weapon of yours has that may or may not have a high breakdown, but it allows you to get your objective 2 turns down the road instead of being stuck there for a turn in advance firing and then him damn it, skulking back and forth, right? Now you got to decide, okay, what the hell am I going to do now? If you show yourself like that, like the other player, I think it was Craig's game, where you just barrel down the side. You are aggressive as hell. You're just shoving through there. I don't care who breaks. the wave is coming. As long as your opponent knows that you're capable of creating a wave like that, using anything in your arsenal to get the job done, he then has to take into consideration getting torched by a flamethrower, shot by a bazooka, etc., etc. You know, overrun by a shitty tank. You know, whatever gets the job done. You know, that aggression will pay dividends because your opponent then has to take so many other factors into account when you're conducting your attack. If he knows you're not going to cross that road, if he knows you're not going to advance phase out in that open ground like we saw in a couple of the other games where the players were setting up their fire groups, you know, if he knows you're not going to risk a guy there and stay in the building, well, you're a hex back, you know, and then it might give him a few more options. And if you're in the building and he's only got 4 firepower, he's probably not going to take that shot. So now you're really not giving him a chance. Now he either has to move or it gives him a chance to redeploy. But if you give him that shot, which isn't going to hurt you at all in overall game plan, he might stay there for other units to vaporize. For other units to vaporize him. So as long as your units can be effective in their maneuver, again, like the other game when the Americans, like the same example, the 9-2 moved last. He moved into N3. All the units were in front of him. Anybody breaks, they route back to him. They rally within a turn, and they're good to go. You know, that's just keep them moving forward. You know, smart play like that, keeping all those units moving forward, keeping of a cohesive fighting group, is very successful, especially when you outnumber the enemy, because he just at that point, you know, when I'm in that situation, I think shit. You know, all I do is you start getting desperate. Oh, now I need to roll. I need to roll that 4 to have an effect, and even then he's going to blast me. And so you kind of put an edge or drip of desperation into the defender's psyche, and sometimes that's all it takes. You know, and then his last leader breaks in the game, and then he just surrenders at that point instead of sticking it out like Tony here, where pretty much 90% of his force was broken or gone or whatever. And it was looking desperate there for him, but you got to stick with it, man. You got to stick with the game. See what happens at the end. If he didn't stick with the game, if he just said, all my guys are broken, we're done, we never would have done the infantry overrun. You know, we never would have gotten to the infantry overrun option and me trying to drop smoke there, which I learned. You know, say, hey, that's pretty damn cool to be able to infantry overrun a guy and learn that particular section where, you know, no movement, no extra movement factors, no normal task checks, and he can't retreat wherever the hell he wants to. So, you know, that could be pretty bad. That could be pretty bad. Matter of fact, I'm not sure, Tony. I played another game. I'm not sure if it was after this or not. I think it may have been after it. But that's exactly what happened to my opponent. And then I threw my single man counter up in front of him to have his Berzerk unit charge my leader and kill my leader. I was the finish, so the finish self-rally, so I don't have to worry about that. Worry about the leaders per se. So he killed the leader, and essentially what he did is he came back out of his Berzerk status, and he lost 3 levels of morale. Now I could actually break the guy, instead of him entering my unit's hex and freezing my guy so the rest of his troops can attack me. So I used that Berzerk sort of returning to normal against him, but I had to sacrifice a unit to do so. And that's the same sort of thing that was going on here. Tony sacrifices a leader. I return to normal. It allows his unit to break me. Exactly the same thing, you know. So it was a good thing. It was a good thing. I enjoyed all the scenarios, the replays of these. We still have, I think, a couple of Cut the Road to Marseille out. That'll be an interesting discussion in that game of the month. Replay analysis on that one there, mostly on SSRs and just the overall application of SSRs. But I thank everyone that supplied logs for these. I think we had 5 or 6. A couple of them I didn't get to. A lot of guys replayed this a couple times. And easy replay, fun game to play. And then you guys showing up here and kicking ass like you always do, and showing up and giving your excellent insight into what we try to cover and go over here. Any questions on some of the stuff that I was covering tonight? I wanted to make sure we get done before 7:30, and I've been out the last couple of weeks. I've been out of practice, and so hopefully, my motor mouth wasn't too bad, but if hopefully you guys followed along what I was trying to get through. Again, I'd like to, next time I play it, I'm probably just going to advance phase my guys on turn 1, keep their concealments, and stay alive and see how the Germans react if they do, and then go from there. That way, it might get it. But I wanted to push on the right hand side. I want to kill Tony's little bastard on that right hand side, but he bitch slapped me back into Normandy. So, but great game. So any comments on these scenarios? Like I said, we kind of talked about some of the routing, some of the other scenarios and other games earlier. So not all of these are new. Other things you may have seen that weren't pointed out that you think is important in terms of strategy and game concepts. Anything on your guys' mind that you might want to cover?
Not from an ASL standpoint. I've got lots of ASL SK questions for you next week, though. We could have a very long session.
I need to get your full replay of your big ass Barbarossa game or something you played, I think with Tony or Mark.
I'm trying to remember which one.
It's the one where the Panthers and the King Tigers come on the map and they have to take building hexes and you like overran everybody in SK.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, we know he's, yes, okay, I know, yeah, 26, right, yeah, 26.
Yeah.
Yes, 26, yeah, we know we have a small problem with it. We may have to, yeah, all right. You're still there, Tony?
Yeah, I think we put it out there, Stu. I think I'll go double check. But I
So
think the best we could do, though, is it ended up broken into 2 separate files. We just couldn't figure out how to merge the first turn into the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I kind of put it out there as 2 files.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be out there, yeah.
I'll look for it again. And you put it in the
Yeah, I'll send them to you.
SK ladder logs.
Yeah, that put them in the ladder. Yeah, that put them in the ladder.
Or where else do we? Wherever. Just ASL skills log review. Put in the ASL skills log review, and that way I'll take another look at it. I would like to cover that one because that's like it kind of reminds me of the Hill 621 of ASL or squad leader. It's a big scenario, lots of forces, lots of shit going on, lots of stuff to manage. I think it's a great scenario for management, and I would like you guys to conduct the talk that session, right? I want you guys to go the shit that you had to deal with, stuff like that. So we don't take it from a third person point of view from me. It's your guys' game. It's an important game that it needs to be chatted with the people that played it to really get the gist of it. So if you guys are open for that, that's cool. That would be really cool.
We could do. I certainly don't have a problem with it. But as I said, I've got a whole list of questions for next week. So maybe we could do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that'll give me a chance to kind of review it myself, and we can that way at least I can go. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that did take us a long time, but it was a lot of decisions in that one. Yeah, it's a big scenario. So.
Yeah, it looks big, and then we can the viewers can ask questions about your decision making, stuff like that, how you arrived at what was your final decision, things like that for both sides.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
okay, sounds good. Okay.
Very cool.
Yep.
SK questions, man. I'm gonna have to read those SK rules again. I know. Oh man.
I was like in a couple weeks, a couple games I had. Just a lot of unusual sorts of things that have always kind of nagged at the back of my brain suddenly all popped up. So I've got the list of them. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. So
all right, looking forward to it. All right, gentlemen. Unless you guys have any other questions, I think we can call it there. It's almost 7:30.
Yep.
Mark, thank you for providing the visual tonight. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks you, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. Might as well let my beast machine do something.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching this episode of Game of the Month ASL Recon. Again, this was Zon with the Wind. The next one is Cut the Road to Marseille. There's still a couple plays out there. We're kind of about a month behind in posting it. We've got 1 or 2 plays of Cut the Road to Marseille. It's PP1, Province Pack number 1. If you guys want to hammer a replay of that, send it on over. It's got some really weird scenario special rules that you need to kind of decipher and peel apart, and just it could be a mess in the implementation thereof. It's kind of confusing as to what your OB is supposed to do, at least in my perspective, personal perspective. Let's see what you guys think of it. And this is a perfect example of your interpretation of the scenario special rules and how you would interpret it versus me or somebody else. And maybe what the OB's for. I still don't know what the hell the OB's for, to be honest with you. So your help can enlighten so many other players. And it's actually not a bad scenario, to be honest with you. So check it out. It's free from the MMP website. Download it. It's got the whole province pack. It's been up there for 20 years. PP1, Cut the Road to Marseille. Now go play some ASL.